Yeah, so, hey, what do you do?
Let them duke it out. Yeah. Well, here's my thing. And I don't think they're ever going to retransform Mars anyway. And that's just my thought. They're too close to the sun for one thing and too far away from it when it does leave. You know, the temperature level, it's not a Goldilocks zone. Let's put it that way. You know, you're not going to have what they have here on Earth. Even, let's say they even live there, you know, for however many years, and one of them gets pregnant or something like that. Now, that child isn't going to be able to come back to Earth or anything if they wanted to, because it wouldn't live. You know, it was born out there. It wouldn't live here on this planet because of the gravity and whatever else. You know what I'm saying? So everything's going to have to evolve. And I just don't think it's going to ever happen. I really don't. But that's me. I mean, that's, you know, I think that planet was destroyed. And
I just find it so ludicrous that we are even thinking about going to Mars. Why? Let's just choose the planet farthest out we could go, and somebody could survive, okay, in spacesuits and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Why haven't we gone back to the moon? There's some reason why we haven't gone back to the moon. If we want to see if we can survive for long periods of time, wouldn't we go back to the moon and build something to see how long? We got this.
Well, we are. Yes, we are. In 2024, 25, what is that? It was only like 4 or 5 years away from now. And they're going to send the first woman to walk on the moon. And they are actually going, they're building like a whole new space station to do the orbit around the moon. They're going to go down, they're going to land on the moon, they're going to do their work and live there in these little huts or whatever for weeks at a time. Then they're going to go back up to this orbiting space station, and they're going to fly back to Earth. And a new crew is going to, you know, relieve them on that space station, and they're going to continue the cycle. That's what that's all about. Well, that way they can work out the glitches, so they can take that and go to the Mars exploration thing. Well, so that's what they're doing.
Well, you better add a lot of years to it, because you know who just killed the budget for that, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Our president killed the budget for it, so it's not going to happen anytime. Yeah, it's not going to happen anytime near the future. The wall, I guess, was more important.
Yeah. Well, this is supposed to be a global effort. This isn't just the United States. China's on board with it. Canada's on board with it. Russia, of course, is on board with it. The Chinese are on board with it, and so on and so forth. So this isn't just the United States doing it. This is going to be a joint effort. So that's pretty remarkable, you know, in itself. So, you know, keep your fingers crossed, but who knows, you know.
I just depends on our world economy. That's something, if you really keep your eye on it, our economy is ready to implode. You know, the last bubble we had was major. This next one is going to be one I don't think we'll be able to recover out of for years and years. And that's why the feds right now are dumping money every day into our economy to keep it afloat. All these jobs that they were hiring has slowed down. Yeah. They're not hiring like they were a year ago or 8 months ago. A lot of the companies felt like they got pissed on because promises were made, like General Motors and a few other ones. The promises never came true. And a lot of the job figures they gave you weren't full-time jobs. They were part-time jobs at minimum wage. So you think about that. So they're like working 20, 25 hours a week at minimum wage, but they're reported as a job growth. Well, you know what? You can't survive an economy. I don't know what the minimum wage is in your state. Here, it's
still not enough.
$15 an hour. I have some adult kids still living at home. The reason why they're living at home is they can't go find even with one of their kids' education, they can't go find a job to pay a decent wage to go move out. So they're living at home with their mom and dad because they can't afford to live somewhere. That is not just my family. It's a whole bunch of families all across the country. So we have this going on. The trade war that has been going on has put so many businesses out of business. It has hurt the farmers. It has hurt the small merchantmen. It has hurt a lot of people. But the average person doesn't see it. They will come Christmas time when they start going to buy gifts, and it costs more than it did last year. I'll tell you that
Well,
much.
let's face it, Gary. You know, I just took my truck in today, yesterday. Actually, I dropped it off, and I picked it up this morning to have it fixed, you know, to work on. And I'm looking at the price. Now, they gave me a demo to drive home, okay? And I got back with it, this morning to go pick up my regular vehicle. And I asked the guy, I go, how much is that? Now, this is a 2019 Ford F-150, all right? Nothing crazy about it. It's just a regular standard pickup truck, but there's standard stuff in it now. It's just unbelievable. $45,000 on the bottom end, with no options whatsoever. $45,000 for a truck.
It's crazy.
Who does that? Who comes up with these prices? And they're not even metal, Gary. They're all plastic. Everything's plastic now.
Tell me about that.
Oh,
well, my wife has a 2015 Mitsubishi Outlander. And, it's not that old. It was 4 years old. That the car wasn't running right. But then all of a sudden, the wipers wouldn't work. The heater wouldn't work. Or it would work off and on. So we take it in the shop. Sure. I figured, okay, well, it might cost me about $800-900. Well, the module to operate the front and back wiper, this module plugs into the computer. $1,180 for this module.
Oh, ain't that something?
That's not the labor to put it in. That's how much that little electronic module to turn the wipers on and off, because it's all electronic.
Ain't that something? Yep. Yep.
Yeah, well, the time she it was crazy. The time she got out of there, it was close to $2,000. They have the car fixed, and I'm going, wow, this is crazy.
That's crazy. It is crazy. And think about the cars that we drove back in the 70s and stuff. Everything mechanically, you could work on them yourself. Simple, easy fixes. Nothing major ever really went wrong with them. Now, they lasted 100,000 miles, granted, but who cared? I mean, you go out and buy them a dime a dozen, Not today, and you can't even work on them yourself. You got to be a trained professional technician to work on these things, and you got to be a computer whiz on top of that. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just nuts.
Even to change the spark plugs on a lot of the vehicles on the new ones. I mean, you have to remove the coils. You got to remove a whole bunch of stuff just to get to the spark plugs. Yeah.
Good luck.
It's not like the good old day where you just, leaned over the fender and, okay, well, here's my spark plug wrench and, I pull the boot off and, pull the plug out and put another one in. It's not like that no more.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. I hate to say it this way, but there are advancements in technology that I wish we never had. I really do. And all this talking faucets and talking stoves and talking washing machines and talking TVs now. They got a TV now that they want you to install that you can have your Facebook friends on it. And they message you like you do on your instant messenger on your computer. So it's all video. To me, it's just a big surveillance kind of thing going on where they want to hear and listen in on everybody in the world. I mean, this is what it's boiling down to, and all these people run right out and get it, man. I tell you, it's crazy.
Don't buy a smart TV. The perfect example, my one son that moved back home, we were sitting there figuring out what's going on with the internet. I use massive bandwidth doing my show, but all of a sudden it went crazy. It went way over. We traced it down to his smart TV because his smart TV, like you mentioned, Facebook, all this stuff. But here's what, going back 8-9 months ago, I had somebody who used to be with the DOD on, and he said that if you know somebody who's being monitored, and you just talk to them over the phone, now you're going to be in the line to be monitored.
Sure.
And now, if you have a smart TV, it's hooked up to the internet, you're sitting there with your wife, right? And who knows what you're talking about in the living room? If they want to monitor you, they can just sit in and listen to what you say. Or if you have a computer in your bedroom with a camera on it or a laptop, they can just turn it on and monitor you. And people don't realize it.
Well, look at all these devices. You got your remote, okay, for your TV. It's Google Assistant. Now, why Google? When I first had a voice-activated remote, it didn't have to use anything but the company that I was using it for, you know. Now it has to be Google Assistant, okay? So there's something up with that. These water faucets that you put in your kitchen, they're made by Delta, same difference, you know. Siri and Google ran. These new stoves by Kenmore, Siri and Google ran. Everything is by Google or Siri, you know. So no matter where you are in your house, the more of these appliances you put in, the more they can hear you. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
in every room of your house, you're going to have some type of listening device.
Well, go be in front of your smart TV, your smart appliance, and start talking about some object you want to buy. Make it up. Fake it, okay?
Right. Go on Facebook, it'll be there.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Why all of a sudden is it there? They already admitted, Google has already admitted they listen into these things.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, they pay people to listen into this. They say it's just where they can keep track of bullshit. Pardon my language. They're monitoring you. As simple as that. Yep. And that's scary.
Yeah, it is. And you know, and I think it's kind of ironic. People worry about extraterrestrials coming here and doing this and that, you know, and I'm worried more about our own government and what's going on than I am about that. You know what I'm saying? I
worry about the government. I worry about the UFOs. I worry about the government because you know what? They'll never be honest with disclosure.
No.
They will just give us a little bit when people complain enough. And then they give us a little drop. Anyway, we got a break, and then we got you for another half an hour. So we'll be back here in 2.5 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio. Check out our website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
History, I pause to take a sigh about the land Afghanistan where empires go to die. Alexander the Great, he tried and failed. The Mongols, they did too. The British and the Russians, they got their ass kicked too. America's been there many years, and I ask myself why we don't learn from history where empires go to die. They say it's terrorism, that's political malarkey. Just follow where the money goes to a corporate oligarchy. The food crops, they once grew with a plow and a hoe, been turned into opium poppies, growing row on row. Our infrastructure's crumbling, our social structure too. It's a corporate scam, they don't give a damn while screwing over me and you.
The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The show is found